How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather SpongeBob. Today is January 16th, 2022. As today, we're going to focus on this major northeast snowstorm that's expected to bring over a foot of snow in many areas of the northeast, as well as very powerful winds and strong coastal flooding along the east coast for the next 24 hours. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So let's begin by taking a look at the current radar, and we have that classic mid-latitude cyclone look where we're seeing thunderstorm activity on the eastern side of this low pressure system, and just to the north of it, we're seeing we're seeing a heavy amount of snow, especially towards Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We're starting to see the heavy snow approach you guys, and even in Philadelphia, we're seeing a little bit of snow, and we're seeing some snow now pretty much right at New York City's doorstep, and of course just south of where the snow is, we're seeing extremely heavy rainfall along eastern North Carolina, which I believe is capable of bringing some flash flooding throughout these areas. So if you're along the extreme eastern portions of the northeast where you're expected to receive some of this heavy rain, there is a high possibility of flash flooding you need to worry about over the next 24 hours. I'm talking about areas such as the Delmar Peninsula, potentially as far west as Richmond, and even Washington, and a lot of the cities along the Interstate 95 corridor. You're expected to get involved in some of this heavy rain, and that could lead to flash flooding, so you need to be aware of that. But of course, just to the north of it, the main threat will be heavy snowfall, where again, like I said, you could receive over a foot in some areas, especially in the higher elevations and the more interior portions of the northeast. So this is definitely something you guys need to keep in mind. And we're even seeing the snow move as far south as Atlanta and Alabama, where you're seeing some snowfall. It isn't a heavy amount of snow, but it's still a decent amount of snow that you need to worry about in those areas. So make sure to keep that in mind. In the southeast, that snow isn't over for you guys just yet, and the northeast, just be prepared for a very powerful snowstorm, as along with strong winds as well associated with this very powerful low pressure system. Now let's first take a look at the winds. So let's take a look at how the winds are looking right now. It's approximately 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you see that the strongest of the winds are pretty much just to the east of this low pressure system, which is typical for a mid-latitude cyclone. We're seeing wind gusts occasionally over 50 to 60 miles per hour along eastern North Carolina, so you need to be aware of those winds because they could certainly knock down trees, take out power, and we could certainly see a lot of branches fall along the east coast over the next 24 hours. And if we were to move further northward, we still see wind gusts occasionally to 30 miles per hour right around Delmar Peninsula. And while the winds are light currently for New Jersey, Long Island, and Pennsylvania, that's expected to quickly change over the next couple hours. If we were to move at 10 p.m., we see that low pressure system quickly moves northward along with the strongest of the winds, where now the Delmar Peninsula and cities like Ocean City are now getting involved in 50 mile per hour wind gusts. And along the coast of New Jersey, you're seeing wind gusts right around 40 miles per hour, and right around Philadelphia, you're receiving wind gusts around 30 miles per hour. So that's something you want to keep in mind. And now New York City is getting involved in 50 mile per hour wind gusts. We're seeing strong winds throughout New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and even Pennsylvania. You're seeing strong winds, and it's pretty much right at New England's doorstep right around the 1 a.m. time frame. Moving on to 4 a.m., you see that Long Island is now involved in the worst of the wind, and we're seeing the wind now approach New England, where Boston is getting involved. 7 a.m., that's when I think the wind should be the worst for you guys, where wind gusts could go over 50 miles per hour, and maybe along the Nantucket area of Massachusetts, you could receive wind gusts potentially up to 70 miles per hour, which is hurricane force associated with this storm. So that's something you need to pay close attention to. Just very strong winds along the east coast, capable of knocking down power, especially if you're right along the coast. So make sure to prepare in case of a power outage in those areas. Now, let's move on to the Futurecast Radar. So this is how we're looking right now. Of course, the snow, it's a pretty accurate representation of what's going on right now when it comes to radar. We're you're pretty much approaching the snow right around New York City and northern New Jersey. Pennsylvania is pretty much completely swallowed by the snow. However, it seems like for most of the Interstate 95 corridor cities, it's going to be more of a rain event for you guys, such as Philadelphia, New York City, and Boston. At this time, I wouldn't expect any more than an inch of snow in those areas, if any snowfall accumulation at all. The most likely cities are more likely to experience snowfall is right around Washington, D.C., where you're a little bit further westward, and as a result, you're a little bit closer to the cold air for snowfall to occur. But in areas like Philadelphia and further northward, I'd say less than inches most likely. So I wouldn't expect much snow for you guys. But just to the northwest of the Interstate 95 corridor, maybe in the Philadelphia suburbs, you could maybe receive a little bit more, or the New York City suburbs such as New Jersey and Connecticut, maybe you could receive 1-3 inches, but again, it won't be a lot. The heaviest of the snow will be in the interior northeast. You see that by 10 p.m. the rain is already over New York City at this time, and then New Jersey is completely swallowed up by the rain, Philadelphia as well, and we're seeing snow all throughout upstate New York, western Pennsylvania, and even extending as far west as Ohio and West Virginia and New England. The snow is beginning to approach you guys right around 1 a.m. on Monday. Then throughout New England, you see that 4 a.m. The interior northeast is getting impacted by just very heavy snowfall. And it's not only the heavy snowfall. I want you guys to take a look just south of it. We're seeing extremely heavy rainfall, which I believe is capable enough of bringing flash flooding along the East Coast. So it's something you guys certainly need to pay close attention to, because flash flooding could be life-threatening at times associated with these thunderstorms. And you see that by 7 a.m. the rain approaches Boston, and then we should see the snow completely move out of the northeast, I'd say probably right around Monday night, where the snow will primarily be just relegated to a few snow showers in upstate New York. And then this storm should be all gone, but it should bring a lot of cold air right behind it. So make sure to keep that in mind as well. In terms of the certainty with this forecast, it's very certain at this time when we're talking about forecasts that's less than 24 hours out, probably only 12 hours out. The GFS model and the European model been persistent on the fact that New York City, Philadelphia, and Boston likely won't receive much of any snowfall out of this. If you were to take a look at the total snowfall accumulation forecast provided from the GFS model, you see in this case Philadelphia isn't receiving snow, New York City isn't receiving snow, and Boston isn't receiving any sort of snowfall from this storm. And the European model pretty much agrees with it spot on, but you see that to the northwest there's a lot more snow, where you're receiving over a foot of snow in some areas based on the GFS models run, and well over 6 inches right around Albany, New York, and Buffalo is getting involved in heavy snow. So this is quite an impactful event, impacting millions of Americans still with heavy snowfall. And even when we're not talking about snowfall, there's also the rainfall that you need to worry about throughout the East Coast. So let me show you guys the total accumulated rainfall forecast, or at least precipitation. You're going to see that throughout the East Coast you could receive well over an inch, probably around 1 to 2 inches of rain, and this will fall at a very fast pace. So the flash flooding is certainly going to be a problem, so make sure to keep that in mind. And like I said, the winds will be a problem. Coastal flooding will be an issue as a result of those strong winds. So as coastal flood warnings are issued throughout the Jersey Shore, and this extends to potentially Long Island as well. So flash flooding is also another concern you need to worry about along the East Coast with this storm. But the certainty is high with this forecast, so if you aren't forecasted to receive snow, don't expect snow at this point, only around 12 hours out from the event. And ice accumulation is also something we're going to need to worry about. We of course saw a lot of ice accumulation in North Carolina, South Carolina, and further southward closer to Virginia. And further northward, the ice threat won't be as large, but there's still certainly a possibility of at least some ice accumulation, maybe less than 1/10 of an inch, but or close to 1/10 of an inch. But for the most part, it won't be as bad as for southward, which is good news. But you still need to worry about the heavy snowfall and rainfall associated with this storm. Now, here's my total snowfall forecast regarding this extreme snowstorm for the northeast, so I'm expecting over a foot of snow throughout the interior northeast, closer to the Great Lakes. This is where you guys won't experience any sort of mixture of rain involved, so it's going to be an all snow event for you guys. So of course the snowfall will be maximized for you guys. And further southward, you probably already see most of the snow at this point, but 12 to 24 inches should be around the range you receive, probably closer to a 12-inch range throughout this area. 6 to 12 is still a significant snowstorm, so make sure to keep that in mind. And while Boston is listed to receive snow, it shouldn't receive snow associated with this snowstorm. I apologize not for updating this map all the way, but it shouldn't receive any snow. In New York City and Philadelphia should not receive any snow from this either, but just to the northwest of it, you could maybe receive 1 to 3 inches of snow, so make sure to keep that in mind for this snowstorm. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys stay safe throughout the northeast. Make sure to prepare for coastal flooding, heavy rainfall, and heavy snowfall associated with this snowstorm over the next 12 hours. But I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. And I hope you guys have a great day.